Now, going to Mike Geyer, I mean, you don't deny that you fired Mike Geyer from his position as the chief of police, do you?
I do.
What basis do you contend that you did fire him?
I asked him to think about retiring.
In Miss Nair's deposition, she characterized it as retire or be fired. Do you think that's accurate?
Well, I think we felt it was time to go. So the notion that you need to go, and it goes back to what I was saying before, that I believe it's at the discretion of the mayor to let anyone go at any time for any reason. And so it was time for him to go. We wanted to give a graceful way out. I mean, he put in a good 3 years, and I think we wanted to at least acknowledge that and leave it, at that. And so that's why also knowing where he was, like career-wise, I mean, he had his para and things like this and different retirements. So it seemed, natural just to say, hey, it's time to retire, and that would be a graceful way, a dignified way to leave.
So you were deposed in John Sullivan's case, and the attorney that took your testimony was Tim White. Do you remember testifying about Chief Geyer's termination from the city?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read you page 34 from that deposition, and line 6. Mr. White asks you, so does Chief Geyer's termination have any connection to what happened to my client that you know of? And your answer was absolutely zero, especially being that I'm the one who did it. So I mean, in other words, that is my call and there's zero connection. Again, I couldn't pick your client out of a group of people, or even, for better or worse, remember who he is. So you were asked about firing, Mike Geyer's firing, and you stated in your testimony that you were the one who did it. So is that incorrect?
Well, I think we're talking about the vocabulary that you're using. I asked Mike to retire. The words of the attorney were fired. Those were not my words.
The attorney then asked you, well, what was the reason that Chief Geyer was terminated, or reasons? And your answer was lack of progress on reform, lack of progress on crime fighting, and also, I think, lack of my confidence going forward in an aligned effort to make progress in both of those areas.
But,
agree that was your testimony?
Yes.
All right. Did you ever clarify to Mr. White and say, well, I didn't mean to say I fired him. I didn't mean to agree with your character of my action upon Chief Geyer?
Well, I decided it was time for him to go, and I wanted to give a graceful way to do it, and it was retirement. But I knew it was time for him to go, so that was my decision. So I don't think there's a need for anything else.
In Sarita Nair's deposition from August 31st, 2023, she was asked, when was the decision made that Harold Medina was going to be interim chief? And her answer was, whatever that day was that Mike informed us that he intended to resign instead of being fired. And she answered, being fired. So my question is, was it an option for Mike Geyer to remain as chief of police?
I don't think it was, but how you leave matters, and we offered retirement, and that obviously also has to do with benefits. We knew his wife was in a difficult situation. We wanted to respect the health care benefits that were provided. And so whether it's also just voluntarily resigning, those all matter. I know Mike took those benefits. I think if you're, to my knowledge, if you're straight up fired, you actually can't do that. You have to file for unemployment. So again,
you have to apply for unemployment?
No, but you can. I just know that he collected those benefits for several months after he was let go, and that was good. We wanted to help him.